Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. We're doing another segment for the Ask Randy segments that we've been posting out on our Hunt Talk website and on YouTube. So keep the questions coming. Send them to askrandy@hunttalk.com. This week I want to follow up on some of the stuff we've been doing. We've been talking to you about how these Western draw processes work for these Western states. I always call it the elaborate schemes. And many of you emailed and said, Randy, that's all great, it's been useful, but I'm new to the process, I've not been applying for points. Are there places I can go hunting? Where are some over-the-counter or some leftover or some general units that guys like me can think of? And I got thinking about that, I'm like, that's what I do to fill in this whiteboard. This whiteboard is what I use to try and acquire 10 to 13 tags for us to produce a TV season. And if it works for me, why wouldn't it work for you? So let's talk about it. And I'm going to start from the northern states, work my way down to the southern states, and I'm going to talk about chances for pretty much elk, deer, or antelope. First place I want to talk about is Montana. My home state of Montana has some incredible archery elk hunting. You Montana guys are going to be mad at me for saying this, but if you look at the Boone and Crockett record book, the last 5 years and even over the last 10 years, Montana is the number 2 state for Boone and Crockett entries. And most of our hunting is done on general tags in Montana. And if you think about most of the West, you have what I'll call the high public land, and then you have the lower valley private lands. So where are the elk in September? They're mostly up in the higher ground. Later, as hunting pressure and weather push them down, they move lower usually, and that creates more of an access issue. So if you're a public land hunter like I am, you want to be there when the elk are on the public, and that's going to be our archery season. Montana, you can come and hunt for 6 weeks of archery, and if you don't get your tag filled then, you can come back for 5 weeks of rifle. And that tag is just about always left over. Starting 3 or 4 years ago, we've started having leftover tags. There's usually 1,000 to 2,000 of them left over. Our deadline is March 15th for our limited entry permits. The results are posted in late April, and shortly thereafter in May, all these leftover non-resident tags go on sale. And I can just promise you that if you were looking for a hunt of the quality you will find on a Montana archery elk hunt, and you went to Wyoming, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and played their point game to get a hunt of that quality, you're going to burn anywhere from 3 to 8 points to get that same equivalent hunt. Here you can have it every year in Montana. So if you're a non-resident who likes archery elk hunting, Montana is probably your best option as a leftover or over-the-counter tag. So then you go to the west, to Idaho, and in Idaho, I'll argue all day long that the best general over-the-counter mule deer tag in the West is Idaho. Great quality. Yeah, it's kind of crowded at times in some places, but every year they shoot some whopper mule deer on the general over-the-counter tag in Idaho. And we as non-residents can go and get that tag at any time. And if you're a whitetail nut, you can actually use the same tag to hunt whitetails up in northern Idaho. A lot of public land in Idaho, great general deer hunting. Then you come kind of south of me here to Wyoming, and you're not going to find much in the way of leftover elk tags. But you will find, especially in the eastern part of the state, I'm talking east of I-25, a lot of leftover mule deer and a lot of leftover antelope tags. And the reason is access is an issue. There's still great hunting, but you just got to be pretty good at figuring out the access issue. So those are opportunities that exist. Wyoming has their drawing. They usually issue the results first week of July. They have a second draw, usually sometime the middle of July, and anything left after that second draw is just a first come, first serve, go online and buy it. And there's a lot of those tags in the eastern part of the state. Go south of there, and if you are a rifle elk hunter, you've probably thought about Colorado, and with good reason. Colorado sells more non-resident rifle elk tags than all the other states combined, I'd bet. And how it works is their second rifle season and their third rifle season are available for what they call the over-the-counter permit. It's a bull tag that you can buy. You just show up before season, buy it at any sporting goods store. Even if you show up during the season, you can still buy it at the Division of Wildlife offices. And the second season the second rifle season for this bull elk permit is usually late October, and the third rifle season is usually early November. Tons of public land, lots and lots of elk. And yeah, there's a lot of hunting pressure, but you see me do it on the TV show. We go down there frequently, and we do these over-the-counter elk hunts. Great opportunity if you're a rifle elk hunter. And then you go to the west of there, to Utah, and they have some general deer and some general elk. Not a lot. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Utah. Not much of a destination for the guy who's just looking for an over-the-counter general tag. Same with Nevada. Pretty much everything is a draw in Nevada. Anything left over after the first draw, there's a second draw that usually comes out sometime in mid-June, and leftover tags of any sort, even the leftover resident tags, get thrown into the pot. And in the second draw, residents and non-residents can apply for those tags. Pretty much all you're going to find left over in Nevada is going to be archery mule deer tags. New Mexico, usually not much in the way of leftover tags there, so kind of skip that one if you're new to the system. But think about New Mexico and think about Idaho, because those two states do not have a point system. So I've been applying in those states for 20 years, but your chance as a beginner is the same as my chance as some guy who's been applying for 20 years. So don't overlook Idaho and New Mexico as your options to start trying to get some limited entry tags. You could draw any year, even though the odds in some of them are pretty difficult. And then we go to Arizona. A lot of people think Arizona, big elk. Yep. Arizona, big antelope. Yep. And you aren't going to find any leftover Arizona elk or antelope tags. But what you will find is in the southern part of the state, they have the little whitetails. They call them coos deer. Technically, they're called cows deer. Those October hunts, the rifle hunts, have a lot of leftover tags. And then you look at those coos deer for the archery season, and a lot of their mule deer units for archery season are over the counter. So if you're an archer and you like hunting deer, Arizona's got a lot of opportunity. No, you won't be hunting the Strip, and you won't be hunting the Kaibab areas or their other really high demand limited entry units, but there's a ton of opportunity. So there's some things to think about. If you don't have a lot of points and you're just starting this process, don't shy away from these over-the-counter general tags. We do them every year. Every year you see 2 to 4 of those hunts on the TV show that we do. We're out there with everybody else. We see quality animals. We have a great time. We put some food in the freezer. And most of all, we're building our knowledge and information base for the next hunt and the next hunt. And if you're new to this and your dream is that someday I want to draw this great Nevada elk tag or this great Arizona elk tag, I don't blame you. I've hunted them both, and it's fantastic. But don't go there without having any elk hunting experience. And the way to build that elk hunting experience so that you're ready when your time comes 10, 12, 15 years from now is by having a bunch of these general and over-the-counter tags under your belt. You're learning about elk. You're learning about this species. You're learning what they do. So that when you draw that special tag and the time comes, you're not a rookie. You've got a few of these hunts under your belt. So anyhow, that's how we do it. I hope that that's an option all of you would consider. Don't sit at home, go hunting, and keep the questions coming. This is turning out to be a lot more engaging and interesting than what I could have ever imagined. So send your emails, send your questions, askrandy@hunttalk.com. Thanks for watching.